Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Ilui Nishmas Mordechai. Mr. Nachman, where is he? I need him for this name over here. Der Belly. You don't need an Israeli taxi driver. I love this email. I think it's Givaldik. We're talking about Shomim Cheparsim Beinim Meshivim. People that get insulted, they don't answer back. You don't need an Israeli taxi driver to be able to access the schus of Shomim Cheparsim. I once heard from Rabbi Yitzchok Silver Shlita that it's relatively easy not to answer back a rude driver. The main test is when your wife tells you that you don't have a clue what you're doing, or your teenager, and you don't answer back. It all starts at home. Midas starts at home, Rabbi Isai. It's Moirdik, huh? Baruch Hashem, I have plenty of opportunities at home to be in the kat of She'eina Meshivim Good Shabbos. Chaim, the dam digger, the bam digger. Der Baron Digger.
Der bottom digger.
The Baron Digger?
Der bottom digger.
That's easy. Der Baron Digger. Maybe he's just made up because he doesn't spell it the right way. Rabbi, the last time we had a schos of having a bunch of yeshiva guys, more than this, but 5 out of these guys are from Brisk. The one right next to me is Rabbi Pomerantz himself, the one with my hand on the shoulder. Guy from Chicago, Tyre Bacher. So Yishkoyach for all the guys that came last night. Without them, this place would be literally empty. It was, it's Motzei Shabbos, it's late cheer. So the Yeshiva Bachrim, they fill it up. Yishkoyach, all the Yeshiva guys. This is a very long one. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically it's from Yossi Wassman. That I said over the story from the Belzer that a guy in Belz, he fooled the whole place over there. He pretended that he borrowed money, and then he told them all that he wants the money because there's no prusbul. So he said it reminded him of a story that happened to him in high school. He had a very annoying guy. He left his wallet with $100 on his bed. He came back, and the wallet was gone. He's looking everywhere. He's very upset. Finally, this bacher comes over and says, "Is this what you're missing? Here's your wallet. I took it to teach you a lesson. Don't leave your wallet on your bed." Kids are a whole mice of how Emunah B'tachan, Hemanti Kiadaber, he loves that vart. And then he goes on, it's a very long email. Thank you for repeating the same messages over and over, constant messages, again and again, especially I keep on saying how everyone is able to learn the daf, cut out the excuses, etc., etc., with much love and admiration. Your Talmud since the beginning of Ksubis, Yossi Wasserman. The reason I'm reading this is, check this out. Here we go. Here's Yossi Wasserman. So in case you don't know what he looks like, here he is. I did. Showed him again. We show him again. That's right. We did. You see, he remembered. We saw him. Rabbi Isai, the Koilel, believe it or not, sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. The Koilel, sponsored again. Ilui Nishmas Chaim ben Moshe. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to go back. The Anonymous Koilel sponsor is L'schos Refuah Shleima of Shalamis Esther Bas Bela. And the Koilel sponsor of Nishmas is Chaim ben Moshe. Nishmas Betzal ben Moshe. The Masechta, the whole entire Masechta, is sponsored by Moshe Banda, to thank Hashem that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. Paras HaChodesh, Nishmas Chaim bas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh, Hashem should open up all the tzinorot of bracha for Baruch Tzvi Nissim ben Shoshana Lea. The third Paras HaChodesh, Jeff Rosner. Maaser 2. Ilui Nishmas Simcha Chaim ben Shlomo Yehuda. Paras HaChodesh, Lak and Lebovic families, Lakewood NJ, because torah and achdus are the best segula. Paras HaYom, in honor of Avi and Raizy Zucker. The wedding is tonight. What do you do when you have a chassan? You chat to him and you say, "Avi, do the daf. Do you want a free gemara?" Okay, Givaldik. That's him saying, not the chapping part. And the art of the month is a complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Lea. Rabbi say, this week I'm going to Chicago just for a few days. I'll be back. Don't drop out. A lot of people like to drop out when I leave. I'm just going for a few days to warm up the olam. I'm coming back for a few days and then I'm going for the whole summer. So that's a warm. I want to see who drops out and who doesn't. Stick with it. Just going for my niece's chasana and I will be back. Tuesday morning is shir and then after shir I'm leaving. Monday night, Be'ezer Hashem, Yosef has asked me like what the schedule. I don't know schedule. No, we'll figure it out today. But Monday, Be'ezer Hashem, there'll be 2 shiurim. For Monday and for Wednesday. Okay, fine. So this is maybe a question that they would ask in Dirshu, but I'm asking the guys that weren't here last night, see if you can come up with it. You three, you weren't here last night. You left me mamish hanging, this whole thing is empty. What are the ways that an Eved could go free? You were here last night? Okay. No, get shichur and money. Very good. What else? There's other way. Hey, you were here last night.
I wasn't here last night.
Okay, you can't answer. You're too smart to answer these questions. Let's see. If they don't know, I'll. Huh? No? Anybody? You gotta start coming. You gotta start shtelling too. All right. No. Anybody else? Anybody know? Help them out a little bit. Hefker, not really, because Hefker is. No. No. Okay, the kid can answer.
2/3 is he hurts him in some sort of way. He gets to go out.
It's also true. Yeah, but you mean if he knocked out his tooth? Not bad, not bad. I told you he's smart. Oh, what do you say? Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Michael Spilzinger.
From? Michael Spilzinger. From? Muncie area. Chalipin. He got it. Suder. Kinyan Suder.
Has to be his.
Kinyan Suder. Know anybody else? David.
Has to be his.
I was thinking that you're going to answer it. I even printed out a sign that you're going to answer it. Yeah. No. One more. Divrei shchivmera kiksuvim kisuvim dormi. So if a shchivmera on his deathbed says it, I'm just quoting Rashi here. It's Rashi in our daf.
Not Rashi that you mafkir Evid. If you're mafkir Evid,
if you're mafkir Evid, so the mumminus goes off, and what are you saying that what? And afterwards he died? So that's... Okay. Zokti Gemara. We're holding that Amud Beis all the way on the bottom. 2 lines from the bottom. Omer Zera, Omer Chanina, Omer Avashi, Omer Rebbe. At the end of the day, Rebbe says, Eved shenasa is baschor b'fnei rabbi. So everybody said yesterday, so he was like probably one of the toughest in Gittin, but today is much easier. If the master goes to the Eved's wedding, he sees him getting married, Yotzel Lecherus. Now you need Rashi for this. Yotzel Lecherus means he goes out to freedom. Says Rashi, no. It means that he previously set him free. Why would he go to his wedding? Obviously, he let him go. So it's a raya. It's just a raya that he let him go. He doesn't go out today during the chasana. Previously. Really? Can't be. Why? Because I learned. No, I'm nispal here. Here's a guest, all the way from Muncie. He knows more than all you guys put together. He's listening to the shir. You listened to last night's shir? Oh. There's one thing to be here, there's another thing to understand it, another thing to remember it. It was a tough one. But you guys got to come out to Shabbos, no excuses. Think about what you did last night instead of shir. Not worth it. Says the Gemara, Remeir Kudeshes, V'chachamim Moimrim, huh? Musar al. You guys leave me. Literally, all 4 of you, not here. I had one kid, like a 10-year-old, sitting over there. This could be. There's a reason why, because he comes to the Shabbos. Says the Gemara, Remeir Kudeshes, V'chachamim Enim Kudeshes. HaKoisev Shtar Erusin Shivchasa. You hear this? A person writes a shtar erusin to his shivcha. What does he write in there? So what he writes is these words: Harei at mukudeshes li. Sounds familiar? If you put it in a document and you give it to your shivcha, Remeir oimer mukudeshes, v'chacham oimer menim mukudeshes. Remeir says what you're doing is you're saying that you are my kala. How do you become my kala? Obviously, I am letting you free right now. So in the words, Hareyat Mukudeshes, licked, it's in the words that you're you're meshucher. Stam, he's hacking and shining. Says the Gemara says, so Chachamim say Eino Mekudeshes. This is the important part. Eino Mekudeshes. So why is it that you're saying that if you're at a wedding of the Eved, that means he went lecheres? And over here, where you yourself are taking action, Chachamim say it's nothing. Says the Gemara, it's talking about that the Maaser we're going to see soon, literally in a minute or two, or maybe more, but the Gemara is going to bring this as an answer. That when the Maaser takes action and he puts on tefillin on an Eved is pater from tefillin. Why? Because mitzvah seish has man groma. So he shouldn't be putting on tefillin. But he goes ahead and he puts on tefillin anyways. What just happened to that screen? Interesting. You're able to control? Oh, you mean something? Got it. Okay. So you put on tefillin, so you're showing that he's not a slave. Ochanami, kisherabo yisio yisho. It's not the pshat that he went to the wedding. Pshat is he was the Misad Kiddushin. He married him off. And Mela, that's the raya that he sent him free. Now it happens to be that by the Hasidim, maybe this is the pshat. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. The Hasidim, they do anochas tefillin by the Rebbe. You go to the Rebbe. So when the Eved over here is like doing shtick, he's going to the master and he tells the master, says, you want to do my anachas tefillin instead of going to the Rebbe, he goes to the master. So he goes, it's short. He says, you put it like this, boom, and he goes, no, I'm lecheres, it's lecheres, adios. But no, be'emes, I'm thinking that maybe al pider chadrush, pider chasidus, you go to the Rebbe, he lets you free. He's meshacher you from Yitzhahara. That's the pshat. You go to the Rebbe, over here, tefillin, is meshacher Yitzhah lecheros, Rebbe also. Okay, Rebbe, enichli tefillin, ochanami. Umiikis asked the Gemara, umiikis mida del avdi, loy mavele yisura, viu over the yisura. What he himself is doing an isser. For the slave, he won't do it, but for himself, yeah. So that's the pshat by us. He's not stam with his own slave. What he's doing is he's giving her the star, and it says Haread Mekudeshes, but with this tzi'i boy, he tells her he has to add those words. Tzi'i boy, you're going lecheros with this. First is a cheros, then I'm a kaddish. Meir Sava yesh b'loshen hazeh loshoin shichrur. Rabbanan Savri ein b'loshen hazeh loshoin shichrur. What did I write here? So the Gemara is saying now, be'etzem, that according to everybody, if the master is there by the chas and he sees that they got married or whatever, then it's a shichrur. But over here, the argument is really not so much that what he saw, but what he said. Is the lashon tzi'i boy, no matter when we start, today we started early, no emails, there's always Akash Baruch has his reasons. We have to finish at 8:05 no matter what. Get you see, because you might, he's hoping that we're going to go live now and he's going to get it. Yeah, so what's going on? Whatever. You said you're not gonna drop out on Tuesday. No, we're ready to go. He told me that when I went away, whenever it was, the last time I went away, he dropped out of the share. I had to come pick him up from his house and schlep him to share. Now he's here for a week. Tuesday it's gonna be all over.
You're responsible for it.
No, but now I'm putting you in charge of this guy. No. All right, so we're moving weiter. I hope you all heard that. We had a shaila what the lashon is. The lashon of tzi'i boy v'skachi boy, is that it considered that you're releasing her with that lashon, or Rabbanan say no, that's not a lashon shechur. Omer Yeshua ben Levi. Evet sheniach tefillin b'fnei rabbi yotzal cheres. So Shoshana Lea says, if Eved, and here we're going to talk about this. This is what we said a second ago. We're going to get to. We said the answer, and now we're going to develop the sugya. That if a slave puts on tefillin in front of his master, since he's patur from tefillin, he's patur from torah, he's patur from all mitzvahs shazman grama, and he does it in front of his master, that's a sign that his master released him. Meisvei asked the Gemara, rabbi, what if his master took a loan from him? Now, the Eved shouldn't have any money. The fact that he's borrowing money from him is also pchisos. You don't borrow money from your slave. Rabbi apotropos. He made him in charge. You don't take a slave and make him in charge. Over here, this is the question. It says mufurish that if the slave puts on tefillin in front of his master, or these other things we just mentioned, he got an aliyah right in front of his master. So you see over here, tefillin doesn't do anything for you. It's just interesting that the Rishonim say that if the master is the Gabi in Shul and he calls him up to an aliyah, that's a shikhr. Oh, yeah, it's says Remendi, it's mamish like him putting in the tefillin on. Over him, he's telling him, come here, get an aliyah. Very good. So what do? You're telling me, Shoshana Lea says that putting on tefillin in front of the master, Yotzel Cheres, over here we said nothing. It's garnished. Amar Rav Barav Shila, and this is where we had the teres before. Kisher Rabbi hiniach lo tefillin. It's talking about a case where his master put the tefillin on physically. Putting him on, you're showing that you're doing a mitzvah sasesha azman grama. That is Yotzel Cheres. You watch him, observe him doing something new. He wants to be extra tzaddik. We had a sugi, he's learning torah, different things. He wants to do a mitzvah sasesha azman. It's not my problem that he wants to act like that. That doesn't mean that I put him out, I set him free. But if I'm going to take tefillin and wrap it around his hand, that means I'm setting him out free. Just tell you a quick thing that gave me a shtickle inspiration in a way. I can't relate to the story. I don't know if you could. I can't personally relate to the story because I'm going to America in a few days. But the end of the story I thought was cool. A person called up Rav Rosner, and he said, my son is becoming bar mitzvah soon. I would love to do my first halachas tefillin the first day by you. So Rav Rosner says, sure. He says, I live in America. I want to fly in with my son and do halachas tefillin by you. A bunch of people come all the way from America. So he said, Givaldik. Okay, so they set a time. A few days later, Rav Rosner called him back and said, listen, I thought about it. It doesn't make sense that you should fly all the way to Yisrael for halachas tefillin. Yotzes char be'efseidoi. Shmir sanayim, he gave him a whole thing. You're going to go on the airport and this. It's not kedai. So the guy says, yeah, but I bought tickets. They're not non-refundable tickets. So this is the point. The first part I can't relate to. I fly all the time to America, back, forth, this, that. Okay, this part I took from it. He said, okay, take your tickets and frame them and hang them on the wall. And this will be a thing you'll remember. I gave up $2,000 to not be over Yisurim to whatever. So okay, each person can take it to their own space. You didn't go to a certain concert, you didn't do a certain thing, whatever it is. You take it, you frame it, you put it up. It's an idea. Okay? Huh?
Totally related.
You do relate to that. To the hanging part.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I said, the hanging part.
These are the tickets that Rav Rosner told me not to come on the
Exactly. Givaldik. That part, yeah. I just can't. I'm not that big of a tzaddik I could say I'm not going to go to America because of Shmir Sinai. Whatever. It never occurred to me. I should maybe. Huh? Which one? These there? Yeah, no. That is Shalom Bayis, Shalom Mishpacha. You really think I wanted? Okay, of course I wanted to go to the Chassan. I was dying to go to this Chassan. Okay, Zok the Gemara. Ki also Ravdimi Omer Rabbi Yochanan. So, unfortunately, I was preparing this sugya this morning, somewhere in the middle of the night, so I didn't have the chance to speak to the Belzer. So I did my own little research, which doesn't count for anything. So take it with a grain of salt. It occurred to me that Ravdimi, it says in Shas, Ki Asar Ravdimi, Ki Asar Ravdimi. When Ravdimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he was a Talmud by Rabbi Yochanan. This is what I found. You're not going to believe it. 137 times in Shas. Now I don't really know how to take out doubles. This is a very easy way to take it. I couldn't find a lot of repeats. They look like all legitimate. Call it 130, 120 times that it says in Shas. I learned by Rabbi Yochanan, and I'm telling you over from Rabbi Yochanan XYZ, and it hardly brings any other Amoyer that says this. It's exclusive to Rav Dimi, although we have in our Amud itself somebody else. A few times, but not like this. This is incredible, the amount of times. He also Rav Dimi Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Now, of course, I'm going to tell the bells and he's going to make fun of me. No, it says by this, and this one is 46 times, and this one's 39. Okay, fine. Ki also Rav Dimi Omer Rabbi Yochanan Mishom b'shas misosoi ploinish shivchosoi al yishtabdu bo lacher moisi. A guy is on his deathbed and he says, I don't want you to work our slave. Koifin es hayorshim v'koifin lo get shichrur. So the Gemara is going to bring this, but this is a Yisod in Shas, mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. It's a special mitzvah to fulfill what the nifter wants. Koifin es hayorshim v'koifin lo get shichrur. He says, I don't want you to work her. So after he dies, the Yorshim go ahead and give her get shikhr. So let me ask you a question. It's not my own question. It's Tyson's question, but not on this daf. Tyson daf lamet ches. How could a Yorish write a get shikhr and release her when it's Issa Deraisa to release a slave? How does the mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis override the Isser of lo elam b'hem ta'avodu? So Tyson says just a very simple thing. Since it could be what?
You released her from work.
Very good. Very good. You hear what he says? That's Tyson's answer. Since the father released her from work, said, I don't want you to work her, so that's it. They can't work her. Once they can't work her, now there's no Isser to set her free. She's not a working slave. The Isser is the mitzvah, you have to loyal bem tavoid, you should work them. But they can't work them anyways. The father released the work part. So now you go ahead and you give a get shikhr. Or l'fon of Rabbi Ami v'Rabasi, Rabbi Yatamoida Shabbanei Avadim. So Rabbi Ami and Rasi didn't like this, and we're going to see that maybe we could learn this Rabbi Yochanan a little differently. Upon him, they tell him, what do you mean? Let's say you don't work her. You don't work her. It doesn't mean you have to free her. So what good is she? Well, she could produce more slaves. So make it to release her. Huh? Yeah. She's still a slave, she can't work her. Okay. Because all the father wanted is that she should take it easy. She worked very hard her whole life. She was a good slave for me. Let her relax. He didn't say be mishacher. He never used those words. He didn't say let her free. Don't work her. Okay, so they didn't work her. But she'll have kids. Shmuel bar Yehuda Amar Rabbi Yochanan. She was very nice to me. She satisfied me my whole life. So you satisfy her. So therefore we force the Yarshim. And what does that mean we do a Kairas Ruach? So first, you say, hey, you want ice cream? My father said we should do a Kairas Ruach. She says, no. Okay, you want $1,000? No. Until you don't have a choice, and you say, okay, what's the Kairas Ruach? What do you want? I want to go free. Oh, okay, so you have to go free. It doesn't mean you have to go straight to freeing her. First, you start small. If that doesn't work, but a boy say, I'm just saying to this guy, you don't have to wait. I'm talking to myself, Betzim. It's very hard. You don't have to wait until a person dies. You don't have to die and then give a compliment to your slave. You know what I mean? Like, it's mutter to compliment people while you're still alive. Stam, FYI kind of thing. A lot of people wait all the way to the last minute. Like the last day of school, they go to the Rebbe and say, oh, you're an amazing Rebbe. Thank you so much. You should have maybe said it in the middle of the year. I don't do both. I don't say not at the end and not in the middle. No. Email is fine.
This is a great shear.
What?
This is a great shear.
Shkoyach. You don't wait until the Rav asks you for compliments.
You're right. Eli, you're right.
Best compliment is to bring you member.
Yeah. If you really like to share so much, you'd bring a new member. Big talkers. It's easy to talk. Zog the Gemara. My time mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. Okay, Zog the Gemara. Omar Meima. Mafker avdoi. Oiso yeved en takana. So Stav, I mean, this is the hard for today because that's all there is. But a slave has two components. Two components. One is the mamain, one is the isser. His monetary value and the isser. He can't marry a Jew. He has isser to him. So this guy goes ahead and he's mafker a slave. So what did he do? He released the mamain, he released the green part. But the red part is still there. Oiso yeved en takana says Ameimar. We spoke about this yesterday. This slave is stuck. My time gufe lekanile. Yisur the ikigabe. Visur lematzi maknile. The isser he still has, and the isser he cannot remove. In other words, if you want to give your slave a get shikhr, you want to release him with a document, you have to have both components. It's very interesting. Over here's another case of less is worth, more is less. Because the slave, you think, oh, he only has 50% of what he had before. So if a document works for 100%, you could release two things with the document. You could release the mammon and the isser. So certainly with the document, you could release one out of the two. What's the big deal? If you can release two, I can release mammon and isser. Why can't I just release isser? No. If he's not a complete slave, then the document doesn't work. Eli takana. There's nothing you can do. Wait a minute. Rabbi Yochanan says, both Rabbi Yochanan and Rav both said, when we're talking about the two cases we had yesterday, Hefker and Hegdish. They go out the Cherus, but they need to get Shichr. No, so you see that you could just give him a document and he goes free. It doesn't say that if you gave him the document, he's going to go free. It says he needs a document. He needs it to get Shichr. Guess what? It doesn't work though. It's a lashon to say, it's like he's stuck. That's what it means. You don't like it, I hear. Now, I don't know if I don't know, seriously. For years, Noam sits right over there, and I see his little reactions, and I base a lot of the shears based on his little, he goes with his eyes, he rolls his eye this way, he flicks his finger that way, whatever it is, and that's how, yeah? He's like, okay, he starts looking in the sift in the bottom, maybe we can find a better shot. Huh? There isn't any. Okay. My timer. In other words, a Maimer is saying, very interesting. The second lashon, what's the second lashon saying? Very different than the first lashon. He's saying, no, a master could write a document and set half of his Eved free. Or if all the Eved has left is Isser, why not? A document works for Isser and Mamain, and now he released the Mamain because he said it's Hefker, so he can release the Isser with the document. What's the problem? No, what he's saying is that the Isser doesn't go down to the next generation. You can't Yarshan up a Isser. Oh, I'm thinking now, Givaldik. You hear this? You can't inherit Birusha Nisser. People told me. I said, why do you talk during Kaddish? Like, because when I grew up, it depends where you grow up, right? If you grow up in a real Americanish shul, unfortunately, it's so rampant. People just schmooze the whole time, like during Kaddish, it's a joke. But where I came from, I davened Reb Zilberstein's shul, it was unheard of. Nobody dared. If you're Sephardi and you daven in a Sephardi shul, it's unheard of. Nobody talks during shul. There's no such thing. So a guy tells me, what do you mean? My father schmoozes during Kaddish, and it's like it's not a big deal. What's a big deal? My father does, my grandfather says no. Isser, you don't yarshin isurim. A person does just because your father did an isser doesn't mean you can do isurim. You got to have enough seichel to say, hey, my father, he grew up a certain way, but it's not the right thing to do. Okay, pounding this Kaddish thing for Reb Nachum Toporovich, who you're also. Everybody happened to be his neighbor. I don't know why. We had a bunch of, I'm serious, sat in this seat, like 3 people already. Neighbor from Muncie. He's a very popular person. Unbelievable. Okay. So, Nachama. V'meis, if a person he tells his eved, he's hefker, and then he dies. There's nothing he can do. Meaning, had he written himself a get shichur right before he died, even though he made him hefker, he would have gone out. But my time gufa like hadele isur the ikigabe isur lebrei loy myris. Why? Because Yerusha Rabboisai is something monetarily. You can't. The only thing you can inherit to your kids, you can't give them torah. You can't give them gedusha and ruach hakodesh. That doesn't go by Yerusha. What goes by your what? Yeah, whatever. That was my point. What you could give your kids is money, and there's no money in this slave. So Meila, there's no Yerusha. What about what Rav Dimi said when he came and he said the name of Rav Yochanan? What? If somebody says when he's dying, he says, my shivcha, she did, you shouldn't work her. So what do we say? So now the Gemara is learning it different, slightly different, maybe a lot different. Maybe you should have learned it like that in the beginning. But the Gemara is understanding and we did. That's how you learned it. That's Shadi's told me before. That when a father says on his deathbed, this shivcha, please don't work her. So what he's saying is, I'm releasing the mammon part of it. And what does it say? The Yarshim should write a get. In other words, Yarshim do inherit Isser. They had nothing. They didn't have the mammon. It wasn't a regular slave. It was a half a slave. The green part of mammon dissipated. Why? Because the father said, don't work her. So there's no green, no mammon. What there was Isser, red. And the Gemara says, he brought from, Rav Dimi comes from Eretz Yisrael, he says, Rabbi Yochanan said, write her a get shichur. Says the Gemara, the Rav Dimi tuusahi. He made a mistake. Amalei my tuusa. Says the Gemara, what's the mistake? The what? It's because he said, don't work her. But he didn't use a lashon shichur. But if he would say specifically, I want to free her from the mammon, then it would work. I hold like the other tzad, not like what Rav Dimi came. I hold like Rav Shmuel. The what? I forgot to mention. Sorry. Okay, we could do tshuva. It says over there, all the way in the beginning of the sugya, it said, Ki asa Rav Dimi Omer Rabbi Yochanan. He brought a halacha from Rabbi Yochanan. And then it says, Ki asa Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Another person said the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Misha Omer b'shas misasi plan shivchazik kairas ruach. Remember? The person who said, my slave did good for me, do good for her. So the Gemara says he's mechulek. He said, Rabbi Yochanan didn't say like you Rav Dimi. He said something else. So he never told the Yarshim don't work her. All he said, Rabbi Yochanan said, in a case where he told the Yarshim, do her a favor. You hear the big nafkamina? Rav Dimi said a case where the father, as he's dying, he said, don't work her. Don't work her translates to, mammon is off. This slave no longer has mammon. The slave has Isser. Comes Rav Yehuda, who was it? Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, he says, no, that's not what Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Yochanan said a case where he said on his deathbed, she was so good to me, be good to her. He didn't release mammon. He said, be good to her. What does be good to her? Buy her a car, treat her well, get her a nice apartment. If all that doesn't work, then release her. But at that point, when they release her, they had everything. They had mammon and Isser. Because when he died, he gave her everything. He says, just treat her nicely. Do something nice for her. Get her nice jewelry, whatever it is. But he never released the mammon. In that case, he has all the power, the kid has all the power in the world to release her. Because he inherited a slave that has mammon and Isser, not just Isser. So the Gemara, this karto, the avde, says Rashi, there's literally like a little shtetl full of slaves. We're talking about Evet Knanis here, right? The whole sugya, Evet Knani. Talking about Oived Kechavam that was sold to a Jew, and the Chayiv b'mitzvah is like a woman. This daven Oived Kechavim. They took all the slaves and they sold them to a guy. Now, there's an isser to sell to a guy, and if you sell a slave to a guy, what happens? Yotzel l'cheirus. But this yotzel l'cheirus, what is this yotzel l'cheirus? There's no get shichur here. So what went away? The mammon. So again, you have a slave. You're not supposed to sell to a guy. You break the halacha because your father did it also, so you do it too, and you give the slave to a guy. You sell the slave to a guy. So what happens? The mammonis falls off. Fine. How does God did this daven Levi Kechavim? Call him Marvasa Basrai. Now the second owners, all these non-Jews that bought these avadim, they disappeared from this world. Also, Kamei Ravina, and they wanted to get married. These slaves, they know that they're semi-Jewish and they want to marry Jewish women, but they were sold to Goyim. And the only thing that left them is the Mamain left them, but the Isser is still there, so they have an Isser to marry a Jew. So what do? They're like, according to Rashi, such a slave, you hear this? I don't know if you knew yesterday, we had a thing here. According to Rashi, if there's no Mammon on a slave, but there is Isser, could the slave marry a slave? According to Rashi, no. But Taisa says yes. Shkoil pointed it out. That's what he holds. They're still, because they're still slaves. The main part of the slave is the Isser. I don't know. It's not like a Chetzi Eved. Chetzi Eved means that 50% of him doesn't have Isser also. The 50% of the Isser went off and 50% of the Mammon went off. Over here, you're taking all the Mammon off, but you're leaving all the Isser, so it could be Taisa holds. I don't know. I'm just trying to explain Taisa. I don't know. Amalu. So what do you do? They want to get married. What do you do? Amalu zilu hadra abnei marvasa. Find the children, because obviously the generation is gone. You're talking about 50 years later. All the non-Jews that purchased these slaves, they're gone. In other words, all the sellers are also gone. Okay? All the Jews that sold are gone. So look for the sons of these Jews. The original owners, Kamoi, and let them write the Shtar Shechut. What do you mean? If you are mafkir, your slave, and this is like being mafkir, right? Because you sold it to a guy, so you were mafki ad the mamain. There's no more mamanis. Same story. When you do hefker, you let go of the mammon. There's no monetary value. When you sell to a guy, you let go of the mammon. You can't do anything. I know, Rav Dimi severely. I hold, like Rav Dimi brought from Eretz Yisrael, that my shifcha don't work her. Meaning, I'm releasing mammonis, yet the children have the right to give a get shichur on the Isser. Omerlei, the Rav Dimi Tusi. Well, it's a mistake. My Tusa. What was the mistake? It's only over there because he didn't say, he just said, Ayishtabduba. But he didn't say, Hamar B'Lashon Shichur, but if he would have said, she is free, then Achanami, V'ilchazak Ravina, and Halacha is like Ravina, that you write a get Cheiros.
Isser gets passed down.
That the Isser, right, sorry, yeah, that's much better. That a Kinyan, the Isser goes Yerusha to the son, and the son writes a get Cheiros. I will repeat that, even though it's shtusim avolim, says no one fix, comes out from the sugya that you can talk during Kaddish if your father talked during Kaddish. Because it says that the Isser goes down, be Yerusha to your kid. La halacha. We pass him, the Isser goes down. No, what happens is, la halacha, that's what happens, unfortunately, but you should break it. You should break it. No, it's serious. It's serious. I see it over and over. Be'emes, I'm not joking, and you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain sensitivity. People look at you like, why are you shushing that guy? Like, who cares? He's talking Kaddish. Because certain people that grew up a certain way, it's like, they don't know what happened. A Sephardi that walks into Ashkenazi shul, loyalenu, and sees people just schmoozing their Kaddish, he doesn't know what hit him. If it's his first time ever, this is how you treat a shul? Kidding me? A non-religious Jew that walks into Sephardi shul doesn't say a peep. Puts on his kippah, and he sits there like this. Like, these guys, what? Okay, fine. Yeah, let it free. Zog the Gemara. We don't have time. How have the debate trade? There was two people that owned a slave. Right? How do you have a situation where a slave is 50% free and 50% the slave? When you have partners, and one of the partners decided to mess up the whole relationship. He got mad. Let's say at his other partner. He says, "You know what? I'm setting my share is set free." Now, what's the halacha? You force the master. So this guy's a cheverman. Talmud Chacham went to yeshiva. He had a trick. He says, "I'm not going to allow Chachamim to force me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give my slave to my kid." Just, like we mentioned this before. If you have assets, whatever, you don't want the IRS to come after you, you put it on your kid's name or something. Same thing. I don't want the Chacham to come after me. They're not going to go after the kids. They're not going to schlep a kid into Bezdin. So I'll give the slave to my kid. They're going to hear about this. They're going to force me to release. So he went and he gave the slave to the kid. What he did, he tricked us. We're going to trick him back. We're going to get him back. We're going to punish him. Children love money. So we're going to set aside a guy to deal with his properties. Daf mem Amud Beis. Or mekarkish lezuze. He's going to shake a bunch of coins. Now, happens to be, that. Doesn't matter. We're going to appoint somebody to take care. No, he's not a Yosef, but you need somebody to take care of it, to assess the value of this property. And a gadol could do that. And because of the Gittin, the Cherus al Shmei, and he's going to write a get shichur. He's going to give him 25 cents, a bunch of nickels and dimes. He's talking about a 7-8-year-old. He was like this. You want some money? Yeah, here. Now, only a shaita thinks that money is worth more than dollar bills. You give him $100 bill, he doesn't want it. He wants a couple of quarters. Yeah? Mashal ma'adoyma, you get the mashal. Fill in the blank. Adults, people, human beings, they like the stuff that makes noise, the geschmacka stuff. But this stuff that doesn't make noise, they run away from. So let's see Rashi inside real quickly. Sponsor after the sugya. You give him something very small, something that's not valuable. And therefore, we won't have to force Bezdin. This little kid is going to release the slave willingly. But without showing him money, you can't do it. You can't force him. Just because they appointed an apotropos, you can't force him. You can't do something that's against the Yisrael's will. Fine. Next. At the end of the day, they could have done, Tais talks about Hefker Bez and Hefker. They could really, if they wanted to, okay. So the Gemara is going to say in a second, we're talking about, he didn't say it. He literally wrote it in a shtar. He wrote in a shtar these words. I made my slave Ben Chayrin, a Ben Chayrin. He's free. Or he said, Asui Ben Chayrin. He's made of Ben Chayrin, a free. What's the halacha? Hareyu Ben Chayrin. Sorry, Hareyu Ben Chayrin. Or he writes in the Shtar Shichur, Hareyu Ben Chayrin. He is a Ben Chayrin. The halacha is Hareyu Ben Chayrin. Now, if he says Esenu Ben Chayrin, now, what does that mean? Esenu Ben Chayrin. He writes in the Shtar Esenu Ben Chayrin. So you can learn that it means this Shtar is going to make him right now. Watch, you see? Esenu Ben Chayrin. With the Shtar I'm giving it to him right now, he's going to become a Ben Chayrin. Chacham say it doesn't work. Or but everything we just said is b'shtar, and this is where Rashi says that there's other way. Usually it's all b'shtar and just words or nothing. But if you're shchimra, it does work. If you do sudar, it also works. Because sudar is not shtar. I'm giving the slave gives the hat, the handkerchief to the adon, and he says, okay, you're free. What's the halacha by a field? I say, I gave it to so-and-so, Nisuna Leploini, it's given, R Eli Shaloi, and he said it's his, R Eli Shaloi. At the end of the day, halachically, it's a raya that I gave it to him back in the day. They made some sort of kinyan, but I gave it to him. Etnana Leploini, I'm going to give it to so-and-so, Again, the same halacha. When it comes to the field, same like by Eved, it has to be written, and the question is, a certain lashon doesn't mean it happened or not. Very interesting. You have the slave of the Rebbe, of the Gal Adar. He doesn't want to go anywhere. Every day he gets to be with the Rebbe. He gets to be there. The guy's a gazillionaire. He's flying in private jets day and night. The unbelievable meals. He wants to be Eved over there. He doesn't want to go. What is he going to do now? He goes free. Now what? So the guy says, I freed you. You're gone. He's like 75 years old. Goodbye. He says, no, I'm still your slave. They're fighting. He wants to be a slave. We have to believe the master, because maybe the halacha is it's a schus. We said according to Chachamim, it's a mishnah. According to Chachamim, it's a schus for a slave to go free. So you can be zoicha. But if he says, but I wrote you a star, now he's not saying, I gave it to somebody for you. I wrote the star and I gave it to you. And the slave denies it. The slave is believed like 100 Edim, he's believed like 2 Edim, 100 Edim, 1,000 Edim, but the point is he's believed and he's not free. Oh yeah? Okay. They discuss. But the point is that right over here, there's more of a reason Rashi explains, or Taisus I think it is, that it's more Taisus, that the slave is more believed. Because a guy writes a star, he has in mind he's going to give the slave, but then at the end he forgot about it. The slave, it's his life. He's a slave. He knows very well, did he get shikhr or didn't get shikhr. Talking about a guy that has 100 slaves. You think he remembers exactly who he was mishachar or not mishachar? It's not even to get him so much. Guy works for him, doesn't work for him. But if a guy is a slave his whole life, that day that he received it, you don't think he remembers it? You think he forgot something like that? Impossible. So Melo does about the guy says, no, you didn't give it to me. A field is also something fun of. I give it to somebody else to be for you. If he says, but I wrote you a star that I gave you this field, he does about I didn't receive it. So the Gemara says, let's just explain. At the end of the day, we're saying that it goes back to the original owner. I say I gave it to Shimon. Shimon says refuses it, so it goes back to Ruvain. Who eats the fruit? Well, Ruvain, he got it back. He should eat the fruit. Ruvain doesn't want it. He said he gave it to Shimon, so he put it in a third party, and when Mashiach comes, we'll decide. This is gemara v'loi pligi. Rav Chizu just said that the Noisan eats the peiros. We're talking about the Baldover, the guy that's here, the guy that says I gave the field. He knows now the Makabel. The Makabel is alive, and he says no, I never received it. So we believe him. It goes back to the Noisan. But if the Makabel's son is the one talking, maybe he doesn't know. Maybe his father actually received the field once and he didn't mention it to anybody. And Memela, we put it in the third party. Sponsored. Yeah, sponsored. Amud Beis. Sorry, you could have told me by Torah Rabbana. Sponsored by Mordechai Sapoznick. In my honor, Yishkoyacher Mordechai, you should have a Shidduch B'Karov. And also by Tehillim.8mindaf.com for all the Cholim of MDY and of Klal Yisrael. Zog Tehillim Mishnah, sponsored by Yorli Friedman, my dear father, Chaim Avram Shalom Yeruchim Ben Yisrael David Al Shalom. Evet Shasoi Rabbi Apoitiki. So Apoitiki is this. It's a musig in Shas. Apoitiki is a poi tehei koi. It's a lien. I borrow money from you. I say, listen, you don't trust me that I'm going to pay you back. Here, you see the slave. He's unbelievable. He's one of the best slaves around. If I don't pay you back, you can take my slave. Apoi tehei koi. You could go after this right over here. Collateral. It's more than collateral. So this Cheverman, once he gets his $100,000, he sets his collateral free. Of course, the Eved didn't do anything. He's free now. What did he do? It's his bad master that did it. But because there should be some peace in this world, the Gemara is going to explain, and we force the master to release him. And the slave makes a promise. He has zero money. He was a slave his whole life. Any money he earned went straight to the master. But now the slave will say, "Listen, in the future I'm going to earn some money. I'll pay up whatever I was worth when he freed me for tikkun olam." The slave doesn't have to do anything. The meshacher writes, "This I owe you." So let's just do 2 lines here, or 3 lines. We just explained. The first master released him. The slave, he didn't do it, he wasn't involved there. He was just released. By the way, this is unbelievable. I thought this at Shasidin, one of the Rabbanim asked the question, he says, in Mesechtes Pesachim, there's a halacha that's brought in Shas about Pesach, regarding Pesach, but it's not in Mesechtes Pesachim. What is it? And they came up with the answer. Huh? There's a halacha that has to do with Pesach, but it's not in Mesechtes Pesachim. It's in Shas a bunch of times, not in Pesachim. Here it is. Kiderava Domarava Hegdish Chometz. It says Chometz here, and it's not in Pesachim. Chometz v'shichur mafkim midei shibud. In other words, if I do a poitiki, I say, this is my collateral. This pile of chametz is my collateral to you, guy, and it stays in my house over Pesach. I can't give it to the guy. It's also bad. If I have a slave and I say, this is your collateral, and I release him, so it's mafkia, the shibud. It releases, you can't come after the slave. And the same thing with hegdish. I say, this animal, you see this beautiful animal, it's worth $2,000, I'm giving it to you collateral. A minute after he gives me the loan for $2,000, I go and I say it's hegdish, it's a carbon. Rashi says dafka carbon, not for damim. Okay. Fine, we'll stop over here. The point is that people shouldn't go running around to slaves in the street and say, you're my slave. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.